Welcome back, everybody, to the Take Two podcast. Here every Tuesday night. We are your Frame brothers. I'm Jameson Frame, accompanied by my brother Reed Frame. We're going to be talking all things NFL as always. We will jump into want to really break down the Saints and the Browns today. Obviously, we'll kind of branch off and talk about a couple other things that have been happening. With the injuries of note. Deshaun Watson going down this week. Achilles done for the year. And the other news on the Saints with Alvin Kamara as of an hour ago, getting re-signed to a 2-year, $24.5 million extension. Both kind of surprising things that happen around the league, and we're going to dive into them a little bit. Um, the, the reason I really wanted to dive into these two teams is one, they don't look like they have a promising short-term future. And I wanted to get your opinion on what their long-term future is going to look like here.
You want to start off with the Saints?
Sure, we can start with the Saints.
I looking at the Saints depth chart, I really like this Saints. I think they have a lot of pieces that they can build off of. You mentioned Alvin Kamara. I'm a big Alvin Kamara fan. I know you know that. I love Alvin Kamara, one of my favorite players in this league. Love hearing that he got that extension, and I think that extension shows that they want him as their future, right? At least 2 more years. This is going to be their running back. And I honestly like those two running backs behind him. Jamal Williams, he had that good year on the Lions a few years ago. He hasn't really been able to live up to that. He hasn't really been that great on the Saints, but he's still there and he's still a potential running back. He's getting a little old towards the end of his career. And I really like Keandre Miller. I think he's got a lot of potential. Last year, towards the end of the year, he was like almost given a starting role, and he really shined in that role. And I really liked what I saw from him. So like Keandre Miller and Alvin Kamara really give me some hope for this backfield. Quarterback situation. You look at the quarterbacks, I think it speaks for itself. You got Derek Carr, who is, I would almost say, is about the definition of mediocre, right?
Mhm.
Derek Carr, he's never been an elite quarterback, but he's never been a bad quarterback. And then Spencer Rattler, he looked pretty bad, if we're being honest. He looked
That he
pretty bad.
did. That he did.
Yeah. So quarterback situation is definitely a piece you need to touch on if you're on the Saints here. Wide receivers as well. These wide receivers, they're kind of lacking. You got Chris Olave, who's a stud. I really like Chris Olave. And then on this depth chart, for some reason, it has Rashid Shaheed as like the worst wide receiver. It's because he's on IR, but we're thinking short term. Yeah, forgot
Right.
about that completely. Rashid Shaheed, deep threat wide receiver. I honestly feel like that's it. Feel like he's good for one big play a game, and that's really all he does, right? So Rashid Shaheed's a good explosive player. I feel like he's a good wide receiver to keep around, but I would like another number two guy that I can actually rely on. That's just my take. Tight end, I think they're fine on tight end, Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill. But overall, this offense, I really like what they have here, and I think they're only missing a few key pieces to have an elite offense.
Well, they did just sign Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Does that help you with their wide
No,
receiver?
no.
Yeah, I didn't think it would. Um, you want to go ahead and take a guess what their cap space looks like going into next offseason?
It's got to be terrible.
For just for reference, the league average is $46 million.
Going
That's
into,
yes, going into next offseason. So like re-signing people and the offseason free agency, that kind of thing. That's the league average is 46.5 mil, call it. What do you think the Saints are at?
I feel like they're in the negative.
They are.
Yeah. I don't know how far in the negative they are, though.
You want to take a stab at it?
Negative 15 mil,
They are negative $97 million going into 2025.
with the league average being
$46.5 million
positive.
positive.
All right, so if let's just say let's take the Saints out of that, what do you think the average is? I
Uh,
feel like the average goes up 10.
I I'm not great with math. Don't put me on the spot like that.
All right.
It's
Well, if you take,
it's
I
going
feel
to
like if you,
increase significantly.
I feel like if you take the Saints out of that average, I feel like the average all of a sudden is 60 mil instead of 40 mil.
It's something like that. I'm no math major. I'll leave that to the mathematicians, but it's going to
Yeah,
increase drastically.
I would agree. I
This
think
is one of the reasons I really want to talk about the Saints losing Derek Carr. I mean, they had a really promising start to their season. They lost Derek Carr. Now they're kind of in a holding pattern. Spencer Rattler doesn't look great. Granted, he was a fifth round draft pick and doesn't have a lot of starting experience under his belt. So that's something that he could progress into becoming a better quarterback. Not going to try and take that away from him at this time. My problem is they just re-signed Alvin Kamara for above running back market value when you're already $97 million in the hole. You need to start working your way back out of the hole, not putting yourself further into the hole by signing aging players to expensive contracts. You got to tear it down and then restart over. If you want to move on from Derek Carr, see if you can find a trade partner. I doubt that's likely. If you want to try and move on from Derek Carr, um, run with Spencer Rattler for a couple of years to keep like a cheap salary. I mean, we're talking straight trying to get yourself out of cap trouble, right? We're not talking about trying to win a Super Bowl with these people. Basically, take a year, eat it all. You cut people like well, not you don't have the option anymore. Cut people like Alvin Kamara or trade them just to see what you can get value wise. Run with Keandre Miller because he's on a cheap rookie deal. Move on from somebody like a Derek Carr who's expensive, take the money, eat all the dead cap space next year, and then 2 years down the road, you're all of a sudden back into the positive, and you can start actually trying to build a roster that's going to win something. That there's no model in NFL history where you're just negative tens of $1 million in the hole every year. You just keep pushing the money down the road. Eventually, the bill's going to come due, and you're going to have the longer you wait, the longer the time period is where you're going to be uncompetitive, right? The Saints are just trying to stay relevant at this point and try and put a competent team out on the field at this point is all they're trying to do. And so when they need to just bite the bullet, basically tank for a year or two and then start building back up from the ground floor. So signing Elvin Kamara, terrible move on my part. I hate the move, not because I don't like the player, but because I hate the position that the team is in, and they're just making it worse for themselves.
I get that. I think there's a lot of key pieces here they could trade away if they needed to. You got Ryan Ramczyk, who you could trade away to a team that needs a tackle that's like competing.
Is
Like,
he even going to play any again though?
well,
Like
he's hurt. He's hurt, but I'm saying when he's
I heard he might
healthy.
not play like ever again.
Oh, really?
Depending on how this injury goes and how he comes back rehab. I mean, he's getting older. If
He's older. Yeah.
it's a serious injury, we're talking like a David Bakhtiari situation where he just keeps
Yeah.
trying to come back, keeps trying to come back. He's on your payroll and you just keep paying him and you just nothing ever comes of it. Like,
At that point, get rid of him. Ryan Ramczyk. No hate on Ryan Ramczyk. Amazing tackle.
yeah,
He's
he's
an
been solid.
amazing offensive lineman, but if he can't stay healthy, you got to cut your losses, especially in the situation the Saints are in with that salary cap issue. But this offensive line I do like. You got Trevor Penning, who has been a pretty good tackle. He's been a pretty good offensive lineman, and he's young. Then you
Mhm.
got
Well,
Talis Fuagu. Yeah,
yep.
is he a rookie?
Yeah, rookie came out of Oregon State, I think.
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
or it's either Oregon State or Oklahoma State. It was an orange team.
I
Couldn't.
yeah, it doesn't matter. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I think he's been looking pretty promising. I mean, you got two good tackles. That's definitely something you need. Two good tackles. Then you got Eric McCoy, who's on IR. Eric McCoy is a pretty good center too. So offensive line is definitely there. And in my opinion, trade him away.
Like what can you do? You have to get young and cheap for the next couple of years to try and get over this cap situation, and then you need to use those pieces to kind of build up from the ground up, right? So if you
Mhm.
trade those pieces for draft picks or just young people on cheap deals, then I like what else can you do as a Saints fan? Which I'm not. I'm saying other Saints fans. Like what? Like every year you're just trying to hope for 8 wins. Like, is that kind of the ceiling of what the Saints are trying to do every season? Is
That's
hey,
a terrible.
we're just trying to get over 500 this year. Like they know they don't have a championship roster any of the last couple years, and they know they're not going to have it for the next 2 years. So why don't we all just stop kidding ourselves and bite the bullet and move on.
I would definitely agree.
Got to get
Looking
worse before it
look
gets better.
looking at this roster, is would you say there's anyone on here that you wouldn't want to trade? Like, would you say everyone on this roster is on the trade block, or is there someone that you would say, hey, I don't really want to trade them, I want to keep them?
I don't think I don't think there's anybody untouchable on that roster. I think the closest thing to it would be Chris Olave, but I think I would move anybody.
Not even like Kool-Aid McKinstry or like a promising rookie.
No, young, cheap. You can get even more value from them. Like if the price is right, you're in that situation. I'm moving you because I mean you're talking you're probably minimum 2 years out from starting over. Call it not even like competing. Like
Yeah.
you're next if you run the route that I'm trying to propose, right? You cut your losses, you eat all the cap, all the dead cap, basically this next year. Next year's gone. You're not doing anything next year. The year after that is where you're starting to get back into the positive, but you're still not going to be able to put pieces together. Then year three is where you can start building up from the ground floor. So if you have a rookie this year, you've burned the first 2 years of the rookie contract. You're going into year three. Year four is when you have a competitive team, and all of a sudden now the year after that you have to re-sign that player and put yourself in a predicament with basically going back into the same situation. Like there's some give and take. Obviously, you want good young good people, but that's like the worst time that you want to start paying people is that year four.
Yeah.
You want to push it to year 5 or 6 and try and get the window to shrink.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. Just going back to what we said last week, where is we had the conversation about every team is only a few pieces away from competing.
Yep.
Did we find a team that's not a few pieces away from competing?
I mean, you could if you had the money to pay a couple pieces, you could probably get a couple good pieces on this team and make it work. The problem is they have no money to spend on anybody. So you're not adding people, you're just trying to push out contracts and retain the same people you have,
Hmm.
right? I mean, that's
No room to improve.
right. You can't go out there and sign a Micah Parsons even if he hits the market because you have zero way of paying the dude if you want to. If a high-end receiver hits the market, you have no way of paying them market value, so they're not going to come to your team. So yeah, you're any team is a couple pieces away, but if you have no way of bringing them into your roster, you have no way of succeeding in that. And money's the only way to get back above that. So that's my whole predicament with the Saints. And in this, I'll go there. The whole reason I really want to bring this up was the Elvin Kamara signing. It just blows my mind on what their game plan is. What's their like in the next 2 years? They think Elvin Kamara is going to push them over the hump to be competitive. Like no. So why do it? The whole
Yeah.
point's to win a Super Bowl, right? And you think Elvin Kamara is going to win it for you the next 2 years? No, nobody does.
Yeah, as much as an Alvin excuse me. As much as an Alvin Kamara fan I am, as much as I would if the Seahawks weren't going to win it, as much as I would want the Saints to win it just because of Alvin Kamara, I don't think it's going to happen with Alvin Kamara as your running back. Just in this 2 year span, I'm guessing Alvin Kamara is either going to be done or on a different team. I would probably ship out Alvin Kamara if I was the Saints. One of the most valuable guys on this team, in my opinion. So ship him out, get him out of there. Sucks to see Alvin Kamara in the situation he's in because I like him so much.
Yeah, and obviously I don't know him personally. I don't know what his maybe he wanted to retire a Saint, maybe he didn't want to leave, something like that. So they worked out a deal to make it happen. But um, just don't see it working out in either person's favor, either the team's or his favor. I guess his wallet's favor, but other than that,
But all right, realistically, do you think he could get that? I don't think he could get that money if he hit like free agency market or went to another team and asked for it. I don't think he's getting that amount of money, but I think how much do you think he could get paid? Average
based off
market?
of based off of last year's running back market, which I believe will start increasing again with how good Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley's having a really good year, Kenneth Walker's having a really good year. Maybe some of the best players in the NFL this year are running backs. So I think the market is going to start to come back up for the running backs. I don't like 12 mil seems a little steep. I don't know if we're back to that point, but I mean teams that could pay it. Looking at salary cap next year, I mean, Commanders got $123 million going into next year. Could they sign Alvin Kamara to a 1-2 year deal and have a Brian Robinson, Alvin Kamara 1-2 punch?
But they already have Austin Eckler.
Isn't he on like a 1-year deal?
I don't know the contract details of Austin Eckler, but the Alvin Kamara's play
The
style is.
Cardinals could go and get him. The Raiders could go and get him.
I don't think the Cardinals going to get him because they have Trey Benson in that backfield.
Well, if they don't believe in Trey Benson, I mean, he hasn't looked particularly great. Their coaches aren't saying great things about him. If they feel like, hey, we're going to try and make a push here, they could have signed him to a 2-year deal and said, here's our window. We're going to go get it. I'm just throwing out options. I'm not saying these
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
Um, hell, the Patriots have the most cap space going into next year. They need a running back.
for sure. I could see the Patriots, and
So
they're
I
in
mean,
re.
there
I would
are
say they're in
options. I don't
rebuild
know if
mode.
he would have gotten that kind of money somewhere else, but he could have went somewhere.
So my thought is now that we've seen this extension, now the running back market is going to skyrocket.
Yeah, I mean, if he's the one kind of dictating what the market's going to look like this offseason, yeah, I think people are going to get re-signed. I mean, that kind of says what Kenneth Walker's probably going to get here this offseason. He's going into the last year of his deal. He's a second round pick, so they don't have the first round or the 5th year option for him. So Seahawks are going to have to pony up and pay him. I don't think they're going to let somebody like Kenneth Walker walk out the door. So
Hope
you're
not.
you're talking that's probably what they're going to be paying Kenneth Walker, a 3-year, 4-year deal at roughly $12 million a year.
Yeah, as a Seahawks fan personally, I don't want that to happen. Like, I don't want all that money going to running back, but I also love Kenneth Walker. Want him to stay a Seahawk
Yeah, I mean Kenneth Walker is one of the elite running backs in the league right now. So if that's the going rate, that's how it's going to be.
for sure. Yeah, I think Kenneth Walker is one of the most underrated running backs in the league too. I don't think he gets enough love. Again, could be bias here, but I don't think he gets enough love.
I think he's starting to.
I do agree.
So touching on the Saints. I went on a little rant there. Sorry everybody. Touching going over to the Browns, which is the other team we want to talk to. Staying on the similar topic, do you want to take a guess as to what the Browns cap space looks like going into next year? It is better than what the Saints were at.
Are we still in the negative?
We are still in the negative.
I'll go negative 15.
Negative $41 million.
All right. So I just
They're
suck at
they are
guessing.
one of 3 teams in the negative. The third worst is the Seahawks at negative 750,000. They're not even 1 million.
As a Seahawks fan, I like that. We can work around that.
Not really. It's still 30th ranked, but um so Cleveland and the Saints are the worst two situations cap wise going into next season. We talked last week briefly on what teams should start shipping out players before the trade deadline. And that's how we got started talking about how each team's kind of a couple pieces away, and how the Browns are only a couple pieces away. After diving into this, I've flipped my mind. I changed my mind. We're shipping out everybody on the Browns, including Deshaun Watson.
I
He
I don't think you can.
he got it. No, you'll make it work. You got to make it work. So
I don't think you can.
here's what I'm thinking. Um, Browns fans are probably going to hate this. I don't even know any Browns fans, so I'm not too worried about upsetting any Browns fans.
I don't think I know any either.
Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. I firmly believe that he has played his last snap in the NFL. He is done. His career is over. He will not get another chance. Sorry. This offseason, if the Browns cut him, the Browns will be eating a gross 119, I'll call it $120 million in dead cap for what, 2025? So that's just under half of their cap space for next season. I think you trade Myles Garrett for, I don't know, 2 first round picks, 3. You trade
Expensive.
Greg Newsome. You just try and overcome this contract. Because essentially, like we said, if you cut Deshaun Watson, you're not going to have money. It's the same kind of situation as the Saints, right? You take the 1 year off. Um, you start DTR even. He knows the system. He's on a rookie deal. He's not expensive. You send him out there next year. You put some kind of cheap receiving core around him. You cut anybody expensive. You try and trade anybody you possibly can to get whatever you can for him. And you just bite the bullet for 2 years. Are you really going to pay Myles Garrett top money to suck for 2 years when you could trade him basically in the prime of his career and get max value for him?
I can
I,
see that.
I think it's his best case scenario. You get rid of him, you get a Russell Wilson type deal for him, and you move on.
Yeah, I can agree. Just want to touch on DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson. I really like DTR. I think he showed a lot of flashes in, I think it was 2 years ago now, that preseason. I really liked him. I'm excited to see what he can do. It's not the best scenario for him. His team kind of sucks, but I'm a big DTR fan. I just want to see what he can do. I'm kind of over here fanboying over him. You know,
Didn't he get hurt on Sunday?
I don't. It says here he's questionable.
I haven't checked into that injury at all to see what's going on if he's going to
I haven't
play.
either, but
I know the Browns went out and got um is it Bailey Zappi off the Chiefs practice squad, I think. So they're going to bring him into a quarterback room of Jameis Winston, DTR, and Bailey Zappi. That's where legends are made right there. Might as well just run that
so
into next season and keep it cheap.
it's a competitive group right there.
It's competitive, but in the wrong way.
Yeah, but looking at this team, you're saying sell all of them.
Oh, that well, you can. I mean, Zadarius Smith was a name that I've heard on the trade block for
I agree with that one.
just highest bidder, whoever needs a pass rusher, take them. Give me, I don't know, sixth round pick, fifth round pick if you can get it. Move off of them. Just get
Denzel
something.
Ward
Ship them. What are you giving me?
for Denzel Ward.
Yeah, third round pick.
Yeah, third. I think you could get a second for Denzel Ward.
Seems a little high, but maybe. I don't. I'm no GM, so I don't know all the value charts and the
Yeah,
money getting pushed here or there, or how you can make it all work. But you got to do something to one, get out of the hole, and two, get out of the Deshaun Watson business. Keeping
okay.
him
I'm
on
gonna
your
ask you.
pushing it down the road is not the answer. What do you got?
I'm gonna ask you the same thing I asked you for the Jets, but I think I already know this answer. Is anyone on this roster untouchable, untradeable?
No. Again,
If I
Miles Garrett would be the closest thing, but
I was gonna say you
I'll
already
double
said you
down
wanted to trade
on.
Myles
Yeah,
Garrett,
I
so
would trade him. So I don't. No, I hands down no.
I would agree. I think I'd be more. I think the Saints have more people that are potentially untradeable than this team. This team really doesn't have much young talent that I'm like, hey, they kind of look promising. They don't really have any of that. So, do you think the Browns have the darkest future in the league? Sorry, I had to find my words there. The darkest future in the league?
Um, yeah, from that or the Cowboys. The Cowboys contract
Ooh.
situations doesn't look great either. Cowboys are going to get themselves into trouble here coming up with Dak and CD's contracts being what they are.
Hmm.
The thing is, they'll stay afloat. Jerry Jones hasn't put them in a situation where basically this offseason is where he kind of ate the bullet. He said, we're not going to spend any more money than we absolutely have to. And then ended up re-signing his guys instead. So he put the money kind of where he needed it instead of trying to go all in for a Super Bowl now and screw himself in the future. Not that he didn't with having the two highest paid people on the same side of the ball. I could see Dallas getting in trouble. Their offensive line is going to start to decline here because they're not going to be able to pay anybody. The receivers are already starting to dwindle. I mean, Brandon Cooks is your number two. It's not Not great. He's kind of at the end of his career. He's still serviceable, but yeah, Browns look bad. The Saints, only because the Browns and the Saints have such salary cap problems, is why they have the darkest future. So I'd say the close third would be Dallas, in my opinion. Why you do you have something else?
I just thought I was looking at that roster and I was like, dang, these Browns are bad. Like,
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look good. Like you said, there's no really young talent to build around. Like yeah, you have some young corners and you have Miles Garrett, but then it's like, what else do you got? You don't have any really offensive weapons. What David Njoku is probably your best offensive weapon.
trade them, in my opinion.
That's what. Well, that's my point. Is like, what are they doing? What can they do?
I would say Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah.
Linebacker.
He's damn good, and I think he's underrated.
Trade him.
Trade him to the Seahawks.
I don't know about that.
We actually have two really good linebackers, but
Who's the second one?
Derek Hallboy and Mafe.
Oh, edge rushers.
Yeah, that's
I
what
thought you were talking
I
about
mean.
like interior linebackers.
I guess he is an interior, isn't he? I thought he was an edge. My bad.
Well, yeah, he's more of like
He plays both.
a 4-3 inside outside linebacker, not like an edge rusher.
Mhm. Yeah, he's a good player. I honestly think he might get traded here at this trade deadline. I think he might be one that gets shipped out.
I could see the Browns selling out. Seeing the Saints re-sign somebody, I don't think they're selling out or trading out anybody.
Yeah, I think who's the GM for the Saints?
That's a good question.
I'm researching it. Mickey Loomis.
Hmm. Let's go
I'm
back.
not
Needs to go back to
very
Disney World.
okay. It's actually not his fault, is it? Maybe he was there when
I
that
I don't
show.
know. Did he come into the situation kind of like the head coach, or Sean Payton's the one that masterminded this and then jumped ship before it really started to sink?
Yeah, did they just say screw this franchise, I'm out?
Can you look up how long
I'm
he's
looking
been?
it up right now.
It's got to be. I don't know. I don't know enough about GMs on all the teams to know.
Mickey Loomis has been there since 2002.
Oh my God, he did this to himself. Mickey's the problem.
Yeah, that's bad.
Saints fans needs to revolt against Mickey. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, that's real bad.
I'd say.
So he's been there for a while. Jeepers.
A while. He's been there longer than you've been alive, dude.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. And have the Saints been good ever? Our Drew Brees era, right?
Well, all through the Drew Brees era, and they won the Super Bowl.
And then they just went downhill from there.
Yeah, that's when they started getting to salary cap problems because they kept trying to keep the Super Bowl window alive, and then
Mm.
they just never got back out of the hole.
Yeah. Uh, hey, good on Mickey for being there for that long. That's actually impressive to me.
You
He
gotta
might
stay.
not, he, that streak might end here pretty soon, but
It's gotta end here pretty quick. You're going, see how this is going.
I'm going to move on to your team. It's not really your team, but I'm going to call it your team, the Commanders. Jaden Daniels going down. I haven't heard much. I think it's a rib injury, correct?
Yeah, it's a rib injury. I think the X-rays came back negative, so he's just week to week with some soreness and a little bit of some, I don't know,
The
soreness,
Commanders
I guess
look good.
probably the most.
The
Commanders
Commanders
do look
look
good, and
really
the fact
good.
that Marcus Mariota came in and still looked good. I mean, it's the Commanders next 3 years, baby.
I think they might win it in two.
Come on aboard. Bandwagon's rolling.
I just want to flex real quick. Lions, Texans.
They,
They're,
the Lions look fantastic.
I think
They
the Lions are the best team in the league right now.
they very well could be. If they're not, they're number two, and I don't know who would be number one right now. Like the Chiefs because of their record, and they just find a way to win, but they have not looked great.
How are they 6-0?
They do what they got to do to win. Like I think like Patrick Mahomes is playing more conservative than he ever has in his entire career. He's thrown a pick in like what every game of the season so far too. Like he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about stats. He doesn't care about anything but doing what he's got to do to win. And the defense looks really good. Kudos to them. I mean, it's not exciting football to watch right now, but
The
doesn't have to be.
Ravens look good.
Ravens look really good.
Yeah, Ravens. Lamar Jackson dropping 44 points in fantasy is insane. Still mad about that. Happened last night.
Texans look pretty good. The Bills still look pretty good somehow, even though they don't have a lot of weapons.
How about that Texans Packers game?
That was a fun one. That was a fun one to watch.
I didn't watch it because the Seahawks game was on, but I was looking at
I had
updates and stuff.
I had Red Zone on too while the Seahawks game was on, so I was keeping a close
So
eye
we're
on
not
it.
a real Seahawks fan.
I guess not, if that's how it comes down to.
Right here first, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. All right. I don't need this. I don't need this. One thing I do love to see, the Niners struggling.
Yes, sir. Hate the Niners.
I think a lot of people do. Brandon
Hate them.
Ayuk out for the season. That's
That was a bad injury.
yeah. Yeah, MCNL ACL, MCL ACL, both of them gone.
Yeah,
And
gone.
you got Debo dealing with whatever Debo's dealing with.
Debo's always hurt.
He looks like he's turning into Eddie Lacy 2.0. You've seen those pictures going around?
I saw one this morning. I don't remember what the caption was. It was like Debo Samuel like stopped at McDonald's before the game or something like that.
Yeah, it's not a good look. The
And
poor
then
Brock Purdy's out
CMC,
here just getting waxed out here. His true
CMC is
colors are shown.
gone. What?
CMC.
I think he's out for the season.
I think they've known he's out for the season for a while.
Yeah.
I think they're just kind of trying to scare teams into, oh, he's a couple more weeks, he's coming back. You better watch out. I think they're just trying to play that card where
I don't think he's coming back.
I don't think he's coming back either. But Brock Purdy, he's showing his true colors. Surprising what a quarterback turns into when he doesn't have all the weapons in the world around him, huh?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, Forgot what I was gonna say now.
I don't know.
You distracted me.
Something about McCaffrey, 49ers, Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Purdy,
I don't
injuries,
know. It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
winning, losing, Kyle
Seahawks are
Shanahan.
winning out.
Seahawks, best team in the division, something like
They
that.
are. They are.
As of now,
Seahawks.
yeah.
I saw. We're going to homer here. I don't care. Byron Murphy, dog. Seahawks are 4-0 with Byron Murphy on the field, just so y'all know.
It's kind of a skewed stat, huh?
No.
Is it? I don't. He hasn't done a whole lot.
So you
I was
think he
expecting
hasn't
more.
done a whole lot?
I was
But
expect.
what?
I was expecting more out of him.
I was expecting more out of him too, but he's actually having a big impact on the game. If you just watch him, he fills his gap extremely well.
That boy is a gap filler.
I'm just saying, he's doing his job. He's filling his gap, and that's why he's not getting tackles.
Now
Because
I wanted flashy play out of the guy. I wanted tackles for loss. I wanted pressures up the wazoo. I wanted sacks. I wanted Aaron Donald type stuff, man. I don't care if
and
the
I and
expectation
I
is too.
get that, and I get that, but I don't think it's fair to judge a an interior defensive lineman on just pressures, tackles for losses, and stuff like that.
That's
An
exactly what
interior,
I'm gonna,
what'd you say?
I said. That's exactly what I'm going to judge him on.
All right, you do that. But for me, good interior lineman is a guy that can fill his gap, can stop a guy from running into his gap.
That's a lot of what defensive line play is. his teamwork, and you fill up a block so that your buddy can get the sack, or schematically you're trying to force him inside outside doing stuff like that. So I get it. I was kind of being overly dramatic with Byron Murphy. I would like to see him get some more pressures and some more sacks, but um, him doing his job and doing what he needs to do, and the team is winning when he's on the field, like you said. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So
Like you said, it could be a skewed stat, right? When he's on the field, that's where usually when all the team's healthy. Our defense or the Seahawks defense has definitely had some injury issues, and I think that comes when you play 3 games in 10 days, right?
right,
That's a lot. And as a Seahawks fan, I'm complaining about that because, Homer. But Seahawks, besides those 3 games, I loved them. Loved what they looked like. And again, you could say that competition's terrible. You're right. We haven't played a really good team and actually played them close yet. My favorite game that's a loss is that Lions game. 38 first downs is insane to me. I think that if you do that in any game, it's a good game, whether you win or lose.
right.
I think the Seahawks have promise. I think we just or the Seahawks need to pull it out in the close games and the competitive games against an actual good team.
I got you. I got you. Well, still exciting season. I don't know. I'm just gotta love football, right?
Football.
Gotta love it. What is
All right.
before we take off? What is one team that has had either a slow start to the season or just hasn't looked good that you think is going to kind of bounce back as the season progresses? And then what is the opposite? What is one team that has been doing good, or at least record wise has been doing good, that you think is going to kind of take a step back or come down back down to earth?
A team that's going to bounce back.
Yeah, so a team that might have a bad record or has been playing bad as of late that you think is going to, take the next step, or the next couple weeks are going to turn it on and get back after it.
I like the Bengals.
That's kind of the easy answer. That's where I was going to go if you weren't going to go there.
The Bengals are the easy answer. I like the Bengals. This also could be a homer pick because I really like the Jaguars, but I'm gonna go with the Jaguars. I think they've had a really bad start, like I would say a horrendous start to the season, and I think maybe they need to start get going here, and I think they will. I think I'm hoping at least Jaguars are gonna turn it around, and Chargers might 3-3. It's not like horrendous. I like the Chargers.
You got a good team that's you think is gonna take a step
Ooh,
back?
Steelers.
Oh, here we go again. Week after week, picking on the Steelers. Usually it's me.
Just the offense isn't there.
You talking about let Russ cook?
Arthur Smith is not a good offensive coordinator. He needs to be out of the league ASAP.
Did you not see Russell Wilson play?
Screw Russell Wilson.
That dude was lighting it up. Not
I
in the first
don't care.
quarter, but the rest of the game.
I don't care.
I'm just kidding. I don't. I think he'll come back down to earth. I think it was kind of a fluke game.
I think so. I think so too. I completely think so too. Russell Wilson hasn't looked good ever since he's been on the Seahawks. And this is his first time. This was probably his best game since he was on the Seahawks.
Hey, he might just have needed Mike Tomlin. Like that could have just been what it is.
I I think that was their best offensive game this year,
Oh,
wasn't it?
100%.
Yeah. I think it's going to be their best offensive game as well. I don't think they top it
Nah,
ever.
I don't know what I.
With Arthur Smith as your offensive coordinator, you will not top it. He needs to get out of there.
I don't disagree with you. I don't want to put any bold prediction on if they're going to have one fluke game again. They throw up 50 points or something random, crazy, something like that.
I don't think it'll happen.
My team's my team that I think is going to take a step back is the Commanders. They've had a relatively easy schedule to start the year, and as much of a bandwagon fan of the Commanders I am this year, um, I think they're going to end up, reality is going to end up catching back up to them. Teams are eventually going to figure them out, and I just don't think they have the talent on the team to bypass that once teams schematically figure them out and start doing things to slow them down. So they'll come back down to earth. I still think that they'll make the playoffs at this point. I think they're good enough for that, but I don't end up seeing them, going 10-2 by the end of week 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
A team that I think is going to start climbing here is the Rams. I think the Rams, after they get Puka Nacua back here shortly, they're a team that I liked going into the season. And with all the injuries that happened right away, it just kind of fell apart for them. I think they'll get it together. I don't think they have enough time or the team is healthy enough to really make a strong push to make the playoffs. I think they'll end somewhere in the 6 to 7, maybe the 8 win kind of area to finish the season. But I think they'll start making a strong push to start looking a lot better and either having close games or pulling out a couple of these wins here. So those are my two teams to watch in the future.
Yeah, I can definitely get that. Another team I just want to mention is the Vikings. Do you think the Vikings keep this record up, or you think they're going to start? Yeah.
I think they've already started to come down. Sam Darnold's play the last couple of weeks has started to decline. I don't know if it's from teams figuring him out or if, just reality's catching up to him. If the clock struck midnight and the carriage just turned back into a pumpkin or I don't know, some Cinderella reference there for everybody. Sam Darnold's a great story, and as much as I like to get on the Sam Darnold bandwagon fan, I think everybody knew this was gonna come back around. But hopefully he can keep it together and have a good season. Still, I still like the guy. I'm still cheering for him. Still want to be on the Jets next year.
And I think it's becoming more and more of a possibility like every week.
That's what I was saying about the Jets. They're just a dumpster fire. Aaron Rodgers. I was telling the wife while we were watching the game. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just completing side quests. Like the start of that game, like he just looked like he's like, all right, I'm gonna throw this Devontae Adams no matter what. Snap back through Devontae Adams wasn't even close, or he like dropped it. Like I was just like, this dude doesn't care about winning the game. He's just out here to do whatever he wants, and then like
He's going for the
what
100% badge, you know?
what is
He's got to
happening?
complete the 100% game.
Like everybody's out here trying to win Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers is out here just doing his own thing. He doesn't care.
That's a good one. Side quest.
I was like, what the heck?
I think with that, we're gonna go ahead and end it for the night. Aaron Rodgers doing side quests.
Thumbnail. There you go.
That we might title the video or title the episode.
Yeah, we're
Side
on a hot
quests.
streak here with these titles.
Side quests. I like it. I like it. Now that you stay to the end, you know why it's called side quests. Because Aaron
We
Rodgers,
gotta keep people to the end.
because Aaron Rodgers goes on random side quests when he plays. But as always, leave comments in below telling us criticism if you agree, disagree. If Aaron Rodgers is doing the main story instead of side quests, you tell us that. Um, give us your opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace out.